So we talked earlier today about the technology integration matrix, and we went over some of the basic building blocks, conceptual building blocks that we use to talk about technology integration within this framework. Some of the key points are that we're not interested in technology for technology's sake, but technology in ways that it can support good teaching and learning. Technology where it is driven by pedagogical concerns, by a focus on curriculum and curriculum standards, and so the TIM as a conceptual framework grounds us in that in the space of thinking about good teaching and learning. The TIM evaluation tools have been developed as a means of collecting data about technology integration within a school setting. I'm going to try to give specific examples. This is just a few minutes overview, but I'll be speaking more in general terms about some of the tools. The really interesting work is what happens with specific instances. So for instance, the observation tool can support classroom observations where you have a coach or a supervisor who is observing a teacher and giving feedback on their technology integration, but it works equally well as a tool for educators to work with their peers. There are many different implementation models for the TIM tools, and that's what the focus is on in some of our online classes, is building an implementation model for the tools that makes sense in whatever context you're working in. So while generally I'll describe some of the features here, the really cool stuff is what individual schools and districts and ministries of education are doing in different places. There are a few different we have many different tools that are in here. This is part of it too. Doing a brief overview is you're by necessity going to leave some stuff out. But a primary component that is of interest to a lot of people in the TIM tools is the TUPS, the Technology Uses and Perceptions Survey. This is an online survey. It talks about many different aspects of from the teacher's perspective of what technology integration looks like. For instance, there are a series of questions in the TUPS about the teacher's perception of the role of technology in the classroom. There are a series of questions about how comfortable or confident a teacher is in integrating technology into the classroom. There is a section of the TUPS that asks, with regard to a specific list of technology tools, hardware and software, it asks the teacher, what is your comfort level with this technology, and how important do you think this technology is as a tool in your teaching area? So a sort of a broad spectrum of different questions that you can use to really take the pulse of teaching population. This as such a broad survey tool, there are many different ways that you can sort of fine tune it. One common way to use the TUPS is as a pre and post measure. So it's something that you can administer to your entire district, your entire school, your entire ministry, and take a snapshot of sort of where is the group at the beginning, and then you would implement your professional development plan, your change plan, your trainings, your experiences over the course of a school year, and then measure again at the end of the year so that you can compare back and see the ways in which you've grown. It helps, and what's the case with a lot of these tools, helps you tell the stories of change within your school or district. So it's really good for pre and post, but I'll say also that the specific information that you get is very sort of immediately practical when you're planning professional development for individuals. So for instance, asking what your skill level is with a given technology and how important you think it is in your teaching area, those two pieces of information combined give you the ability to make decisions and invite teachers to trainings and group them in different ways. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So it helps you target that professional development. The TIM-O is another key component of the tools, and it's something that is implemented in a lot of different places in different ways. This is an observation tool, a classroom walkthrough tool, and where the TUPS is self-report data, where you're asking teachers to think about their own use. The TIM-O is designed for an outside observer to come into a classroom and report on what they're seeing in that classroom. And again, they're describing what they're seeing in that classroom in terms of the TIM. So, we're not saying that more technology use is always better. We're not saying that higher levels of technology integration on the TIM are always better than lower levels on the TIM, or that you should always be at higher levels on the TIM. It's descriptive. And so it gives you a really solid basis for having great conversations around technology integration. What you're doing now, what might be more effective in the future, what are things that you may not have thought about. So the observation tool provides great information, can provide great information to a teacher about what an expert other sees in their lesson as far as technology, the way they're using technology. In the moment, that formative feedback all the way through. It can also be used as an evaluation tool in conjunction with the TUPS. So you could do a random selection of classrooms at the beginning of the year during a period of time, a random selection of classrooms toward the end of the year, and use the summary results from that set of observations as part of your overall evaluation of the effectiveness of your professional development. Or scratch all of that, and you can use the TIM-O as a tool for a supervisor, a coach, or a peer to connect with a teacher about their individual practice on a daily basis. It works equally well in either of those ways. Some of the other tools that are included in the TIM tools, the Action Research for Technology Integration tool that allows you to collect data on teacher-directed inquiry in the classroom. There's a lesson plan review tool, a reflection tool, just a variety of different things. I'll show you quickly just some views of the software. This is a login page, and actually I think I'm going to go sort of directly out. We can do, you can set up as many teacher accounts as you need to accommodate your users, and users are able to do things like reset their own passwords and things like that, of course, but you can also do a single sign-on within the TIM tools through a third party that we work with that handles that single sign-on piece. I'm actually going to drop out and go directly into the tools. And when a teacher first logs in, the first place that they go is this Teacher Center dashboard. So the Teacher Center gives PDF versions of all of the activities that are associated with this teacher in the system. So if this teacher has participated in a coaching cycle through the TIMC, which we haven't talked about yet, that would appear here. If they have completed a reflection, if they've had an observation conducted in their classroom, or if they've submitted a survey, all of that data is here at the teacher's fingertips in the Teacher Center. From the main menu, you can see navigation out to each of the main tools, the Action Research tool, the Coaching tool, Observation tool. And actually, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. The reason this should be small for you. So you have each of these each of the tools linked from here. The technology uses and perception survey divided into sections. There's a welcome message at the beginning. Each of these sections, you're collecting that data directly from the teachers. The TUPS is very customizable. The message at the front is designed for you to change out the content in whatever ways are necessary. You can turn on or off different sections of the TUPS. There are times when you may want to do a targeted data collection where you're only looking for a certain type of data. You can do that. You can also edit the text of individual items within the TUPS. So for instance, if there's a particular technology that you want to ask about, you can edit your list of technologies to make sure that that technology is targeted. So there are sort of customization options there. The TIMC is the main one that we didn't talk about before, so I'll just touch on that now. The TIMC is a tool to support coaching in school contexts. The TIMC can support coaching from sort of someone formally in a coach or mentor role, or it can support effective peer conversations. A couple of things to note about the TIMC specifically: it's not married to a particular a coaching model. Whatever coaching model you're using, you can apply the TIMC to collecting. Use the TIMC as a tool to collect data on that, those coaching relationships as they move through. So the coaching cycles here, the first phase where you're setting your goals for this coaching cycle. Phase 2, planning activities. Phase 3, you'll monitor the activities that you planned in phase 2. Sort of monitor your progress toward those goals and record check-ins along the way. In phase 4, you're recording outcomes to the goals that you set. Did you achieve the goal? And then in phase 5, you're reflecting on the coaching cycle. Both the client and the coach reflect on how that coaching cycle went for them. How effective was it? What would they want to do differently next time? So in a lot of places, coaching cycles are central to, or something that looks like or sounds like a coaching cycle is central to the work that you do in technology integration. And the TIMC gives you a place to collect that data where you can sort of monitor the progress of coaching cycles across your organization. There's also a built-in reporting tool that you can use to generate reports, and a survey tool that you can use to create your own custom surveys and handle that data collection within the TIM tools alongside everything else. Just the last couple of things to note here in this few-minute overview. In the administration center, you can customize all of the things that are customizable. You can upload your list of schools by spreadsheet or individually. You can upload your entire member database by spreadsheet or individually. You can define permissions within the tools. There's quite a bit of customization that you can do within the admin section. You can also directly download all of the data that you've collected in your system. Your data is yours, and you can always access all of it through the TIM tools. The data download formats that we provide for you are very clean data sets, so they're ready to be taken into Power BI or SPSS or SAS or Excel, whatever other format that you'd like to do additional reporting, in addition to the reporting that's built into the tools and the report options that we provide through Excel templates and things like that. That is a basic overview of the tools. Are there any questions, or is there anything that I missed that anyone would like to draw attention to? We have some real expertise in the room as far as TIM and TIM tools, so I'm happy to be redirected, and I'm happy to answer anybody's questions if there are any.
Thank you, James. Thank you for the presentation. I'll just take this opportunity to just say hello, and also we still show you video from was it 2013 that you had recorded about Tim in one of the conferences. So to our staff, whenever the new stuff comes in, instead of me ranting about, so I just show, hey, watch this 10-minute video from the creators, and then come to me. So we have been using a lot Tubbs and TimR. So those have been the backbones for our entire technology integration. And this year we're planning to introduce the TimC and a bit of TimO as well. So TimO has been used mostly by my department, but we have found that TimR is less intrusive because teachers, they feel that they have the ownership of it and they don't mind sharing that data. And we do sit down and discuss, and sometimes we do an observation and we check notes that how they felt their lesson was. And previously last year we spoke about the frequency, and you wrote a very nice blog post as well. So we are trying to increase the frequency. We're just trying to say that do it for each unit that you teach and do it overall if you don't want to do it for the whole lesson. The question I had that do you know is an efficient way when we are doing the reports at the end of the year? So for example, the science department will say, hey, give me my department's overview, how my teachers did this year. So what I do, I have to go individually and check in for all those teachers, and the same teacher can be teaching maths in grade 10 and teaching science in grade 6. So I was thinking if you have something on top of your mind, or we can take it through the email later on to sort of segment the data based on the department or based on teachers. It's not that complicated right now because it's easy to see through the list. And the second thing, what happens that we have some power users that tilt the overall school's data towards what leadership thinks is a pretty good thing. You know, most of them are between adaptation and transformation. And then we have some, and they are the one who are using the tools more often. So just thinking that that how to sort of balance that data out so that it gives the real picture rather than picture of those just few teachers who are using it more. So these are some of the things that I'm reflecting on after having used this really great tool for over a few years now.
Oh, wonderful.
You don't have to answer all of that right now unless you have something on the top of your head. But
yeah, it's interesting. And I, you know, Roy and Christine are also on the call, and we meet every week about features and within the Tim tools and different ways of interpreting data and things like that. So they've both turned off their cameras now. So, but hi. So if you have any thoughts also, I do have some thoughts though, some stuff that comes to mind immediately. If people are in one department, then one way of doing it would be to create custom roles. So based on the teacher role, so instead of having everybody as a teacher, have somebody as a math teacher, have somebody else as a science teacher, have somebody else as a language arts teacher, and then you could use that role to run a report. You can run a report just on language arts teachers or math teachers or science teachers. If they teach in more than one department, it's a little bit more difficult. I'm not sure how you would group them one direction and then group them. Well, you could actually change their roles in between running the reports. That wouldn't actually be that hard with the spreadsheet uploader. It would be a matter of, you know, set their role as science teacher, upload that spreadsheet, run the science report, set the role as math teacher, upload that spreadsheet and run the math report. I think that would work.
What we're also doing right now, we're asking them to specify in the notes and comment section. So that's it's easier to see. That's where they put in details as well.
Yes.
Because it's the same science teacher can teach from grade 6 to grade 10. So what that reflection was about for what grade. So, and since we don't have such a huge number, we're just one school with 140 teachers. So it's not that it doesn't take that much time to get an overview.
Mhm.
But I think that role part is good, that it will make it easier to sort of sort the data towards the end to showcase to the leadership or the head of the departments.
It's a good topic for us to think about, though, in terms
Yeah,
of
yeah.
considering, our reporting capabilities. So